Alright guys, time to do my Danny Phantom Q&A. And as always, if I missed someone's question or something like that, it's not, more or less YouTube either marked it as spam or just didn't even have it show up at all, because YouTube can be a dick like that sometimes. So, let's get this started. Now, this got me a total of 41 to 42 questions. Yeah, this was a pretty big Q&A, so let's go through this. Starting off with Mercedes Kirkland. Hope I'm saying that name right. And for this person's question is: would you like to see more of Danny Phantom if they rebooted? Danny Phantom with an I, if they rebooted Danny Phantom? Okay. I think it would be really cool because the way I look at it is that Danny, she wasn't so much Supergirl as she was like she was like a girl version of Ben Reilly, when you think about it, because that whole episode she was introduced, that was the Clone Saga. There is no beating around the bush. That was the Clone Saga right there. Yeah, that was just, that's all it was Danny Phantom's equivalent to an abridged version of the Clone Saga. That's what it was. And Danny was the Ben Reilly. So, if they rebooted the show, yeah, I would like to see more of her. I'd like to see her do more of her own stuff, maybe be like his sidekick or something. I think that'd be really cool. Your second question is, how would Sam react to meeting Shizao? I think she'd be like, you're brave. I think that she would just have nothing but snide remarks for Guy. I think that would be pretty much it. Her whole thing was that she'd give nothing but shit to Guy. So, thank you for those questions, Mercedes Kirkland. Now moving on to King Nazru, whose first question is: do you think Danny Phantom and Spider-Man from Amazing Spider-Man 2 would get along? Yeah, I could see it. I could see Peter and Danny hanging out. I've always said that, Peter and Danny could always, form a friendship or a mentor bond. I think, yeah, they could easily get along pretty well. Your second question is: would you like to see a Danny Phantom Rosario vampire crossover? Yeah, I would. I mean, I haven't read the manga, but you praise it like it's the Holy Bible, so it has to be good, right? I've only seen the anime, and that's left me with not so much confidence. But I think it would be cool. I think you can do something cool with it. And your third question is what banter would be between Danny Phantom and Bloody Mary from Wolf Among Us and Fables? Fun fact: her voice actress is the same one from Dee Dee from Dexter's Lab. Did not know that. I think it would be very interesting banter between the two. It would definitely be some major back and forth between those two. You also have asked a fourth question, but but here's the thing: I said only 3 questions per person, not 4. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for those questions, King Nazru. Moving on now to more crossovers, and he asks, since this question was going to be asked, no doubt, Danny Phantom Ghostbusters. Do you see this working? Oh, hell yeah. I absolutely think that a Danny Phantom Ghostbusters crossover could, honest to God, work. I could definitely see it happening. I think it would be really cool to see, I could definitely see, what could happen is Jack and Maddie, Danny's parents, as just completely in awe of the Ghostbusters. I think they would just be like, you're heroes in the ghost-catching business. I think that would be a lot of fun, just to see, Jack and Maddie hang out with Venkman and all of them. So thank you for that question. More crossovers. Next comes Jake Bat, who asks, this may be an odd question, but what would a John Hughes Danny Phantom movie be like? John Hughes Danny Phantom film. I'm trying to picture it. I really am. I'm trying to see how that exactly would go in my head. I'm trying to see how that would go. Because this is the guy who did Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Weird Science, National. I think he would have a lot of fun with it. He would definitely make it a supernatural version. I think he would be really cool at doing this kind of film. I think he would be really cool to do a great horror comedy in a way. I think it would be something along those lines, possibly. I think that would be the best way to look at it. And also a bit of Breakfast Club in there. So thank you for that question, Jake Bat. Next one, Marvel and DC 379 asks, well, who's your favorite Danny Phantom villain? I've got a few, actually. I don't have a specific one. Technus, Ember, Skulker, Freak Show was pretty cool. Vlad was always cool. Those are a few right there. Those were some ones that stood out. Even the Box Ghost even stuck out for me. I think the Box Ghost was also a pretty fun villain as well. Beware! Beware your cubic doom! I used to be able to, in my younger days, I used to be able to do a really good Box Ghost voice. So, yeah. Your second question is, what's your favorite ghost power? I think my favorite ghost power is the Ectoblasts, because the Ectoblast can be kind of harnessed like a Green Lantern ring sometimes. They could just be harnessed like they could create shields or manifest into different things. I think it was really cool to have those kind of... I think the Ectoblasts were definitely my favorite. And your third question is, who are your favorite Danny Phantom characters besides Danny himself? Other favorite Danny Phantom characters, I liked Sam and Tucker. Jazz was hit and miss with me. Maddie and Jack, they were both a lot of fun. Especially Jack, he was both. He was funny and sympathetic. He also proved that he could be a great dad, despite being kind of dumb. He was kind of like, he had that Homer Simpson vibe to him, but he was a lot more competent. If anything, he's kind of like Greg Universe from Steven Universe, just a little more tactical. Those were some of my favorite characters right there. So anyway, thank you for that question, Marvel and DC. Now moving on to Zach the Thunder King, who asks, favorite moment in Danny Phantom? There's a few. There's a few favorite moments in Danny Phantom. Sorry, got some water here with me in case my mouth dries out. So I'm trying to think to myself, what would be, what exactly could count as a good, good moment for Danny Phantom. I think one of my favorite moments in here was when he convinced all the other ghosts in the Ghost Zone to... This is the end of Phantom Planet, where he managed to make the ecto-meteorite pass through the Earth. I think that was just a badass moment. Another one was when he finally got to space, when he finally fulfilled his dream as an astronaut. I think that was a lot of fun too. Just a few of those moments right there. And your second question is, what would you like to see Danny Phantom fight? In terms of I don't know exactly how that question goes, but I think it would be cool to see, if the later seasons had it, I think it would be cool to have him fight other supernatural creatures like vampires or werewolves or something like that, kind of give it more of a supernatural vibe. And in the terms the CW's Supernatural show. I think that would be cool. So thank you for those questions, Zach. Moving on to Victor Da Silva, who asks, had the show not been canceled as it is, what would Butch Hartman add to the show that he hadn't already in the show? So, okay, the first question is pretty much, what do I think Butch Hartman could have added to the show that wasn't in it already? Example, like the future Danny Phantom being a main villain. I don't know if he's in continuity anymore. Maybe he's just out... Well, he is outside of time, actually, now that I remember it. He was pulled outside of time by clockwork and sentenced into that little thermos, and he was trapped in there. So there was a chance he could exist. The thing is, even though with time travel, is that... the thing with most time travel stories is that when you do something like that to pull them out of time, they can easily be erased since they no longer exist in that continuity. Trust me, DC got away with that BS a lot. But I think it'd be cool to have that evil version of Danny back. I think that would be really cool to see him come back. That would have been awesome. Maybe have some of the villains switch sides. I think because Danny did talk about sometimes he wanted more help, and maybe what I'd like to see is him gather all the other allies he's made. He gathers together Wolf and a few others, and he gathers them all together to make a Phantom Corps. Yeah, there you go. Danny Phantom, Phantom Corps. And he brings together Danny with not his cousin, well, his quote-unquote cousin. You got Wolf, the Ghost Dog, What was that shape-shifting ghost? I can't remember his name, but the one that the little mischievous ghost. Just basically any ally that Danny made and brought them and bring them all together to make like a superhero team or like a core or something. Like I said, Phantom Core. That'd be really cool. That'd be something I would have liked to see. Your second question is, if in any way you could pair Danny against the worst human beings out there, what would you, hang on. If and any you could pair Danny against the worst human beings of our time, who would he save and why? Really not kind of getting the question here. I think you're trying to say like go against. I'm sorry if I'm completely missing the question here, but I think like maybe it'd be cool to see like the ghost version of Jack the Ripper. That'd be kind of cool. And yeah, that's all I can think of at the moment. Your third question is, if there was a phantom equivalent of Doctor Who, will there be a villain that uses time travel to kill off greatest madman of our time? I think we already had that in Clockwork. Yeah, pretty much we had that in Clockwork. He was kind of the time-traveling ghost, but he couldn't interfere. But if we did have one that could travel through time, I think what I'd like to have it is like maybe it's like a guy who was supposed to take over Clockwork's job, but what had happened was he was just deemed unworthy, and now he's trying to assassinate. He's trying to get his revenge by assassinating people throughout time and space, something like that. So think of those questions. I did see a fourth question, but like I said, it's only 3 questions per person, so yeah. Sorry. Next set of questions come from Linerman0245, and first question is, if you could cross Danny Phantom with any horror icon, which would it be, and how would the story pan out? Well, like I've said before, I can't really think of crossovers right off the bat, but I'll try to think of something. I think like the best one you could do is Freddy Krueger. I think it'd be really cool because you could include that other villain, Nocturne, and have it that Nocturne is trying to harness nightmares, so he releases Freddy from imprisonment and sicks him on, Amityville. But however, Nocturne doesn't realize how dangerous Freddy is, so he has to get Danny's help to seal him back away. Or, yeah, seal him away again. That's what I meant to say. Maybe something like that. Yeah, but definitely out of all of the horror characters, Freddy comes to mind first. Alright, if a Season 4, how would it pan out? Well, we kind of already got this question before with Victor Da Silva kind of asking that already, so I've already answered that question. Okay, your third question is, nonsense question. What if Garth Ennis or Robert Kirkman wrote every Danny Phantom episode? Well, if Garth Ennis wrote it, it would be dark, depressing, deeply cerebral, and incredibly gory. We'd also be seeing, everyone saying fuck every 5 sentences. And if it was Robert Kirkman, it would have great storytelling, great characterization, and, character development, but it would be oppressively depressing to the point where you want to put a gun in your mouth and pull the trigger. That's how I see it. Much love to Garth Ennis and Robert Kirkman, mind you, but I can only here's the thing, guys. I can only take their writing in steps. I can't take like one huge run of Garth Ennis's The Boys or Punisher. I need to take it in like little droves, or else I'm going to feel awful. And Robert Kirkman's Walking Dead is so depressing. Granted, his other writings are very optimistic. In fact, Super Dinosaur and Invincible, even though they have their depressing moments, are at least a little more fun. So yeah, no hate to Ennis or Kirkman. It's just I can't take their the work they're most popular for all at once. And I imagine if I had that day in and day out with Danny Phantom, that's probably what I would be like. Next set of questions come from Robert Avram, who asks, if you had Danny Phantom powers, would you be a good ghost or bad ghost? Maybe have some fun. So, maybe villain? Possibly, yeah, villain. Let's face it, power corrupts. Which one of the Danny Phantom characters do you like the most and why? I don't really have a favorite, really. I kind of like them all in their own little way. I kind of just dig them all in their own little way, I guess you could say. I made a rhyme. And, oh yeah, and I've already answered this question of which power do I like the most. Again, I said it's the Ectoblast, so, yeah. Next question comes from Burnouter7, who asks, can you think of any crossover pairings for Danny and Jazz? Ooh, okay. Interesting question we have right here from Burnouter. Okay, for Danny, for the longest time, I actually liked the crossover pairing between Danny and Raven from the Teen Titans animated show. Well, yeah, Teen Titans, I wanted to make sure you guys knew it was the animated series. So, Danny and Raven. Danny and Raven was a really, really one I really liked, so him and Raven. And for Jazz, I don't know. The thing is that Jazz is too smart for her own good, and I think she would just, turn off a lot of people. Sorry, I had to get some water. Trying to think here. Actually, I think it'd be funny to see her play off of Lars from Steven Universe. Her and Lars would be it would be interesting to see them play off each other. With, excluding Sadie. So, yeah, Jazz and maybe Lars. Just because Lars isn't a total jerk, he's just stupid. And so he's a lot more fun to play. He'd be more, I think it would be interesting to see those two play off each other. So, thank you for that question, Burnouter. Your next one is, what 4 comic book characters would you like to see mentor Danny? Okay, Spider-Man, first and foremost. Always have Peter Parker, first and foremost. I think, in terms of other characters, I think, really interested, Doctor Strange. Yeah, Doctor Strange is another one. I'd like to see him be mentored by maybe someone most people would say, oh, Ghost Rider, right? Spirit of Vengeance, not so much. Danny's trying to be a superhero, not an anti-hero. So, I would say, maybe, let me think of someone outside of the Marvel universe and move on to the DC universe. I think it would be cool to see him, maybe mentored by Batman or Nightwing. Probably Batman would be interesting to see him train with Batman and... Actually, no, Wildcat. Yeah, there you go. There's my number 3 pick, Wildcat. Because Wildcat's pretty much trained, Batman and Black Canary and a few other members throughout the JLA and JSA. Hell, he even trained Superman out of box. So, yeah. And he's trained a lot of young superheroes as well, so Ted Grant would be an excellent... I think would be an excellent teacher for him. And finally, I'm going to say... maybe Green Arrow. Yeah, Oliver would be a good mentor for him too. Okay, and your third question is, what would happen if Goku fought all of the excuse me. Oof. That came out of nowhere, didn't it? Sorry, some sore throat. What would happen if... Okay, let me try to redo this question. What would happen if Goku fought all of Danny's villains, including Pariah Dark? Who would go down first, and which ghost do you think would have to give him the hard time? I think Pariah Dark or Future Danny would give Goku the most trouble. But let's face it, Goku, now that he's Super Saiyan God, I hate to say it, but it's God Almighty, that is way too powerful. So yeah, Goku pretty much, I think, again, Pariah Dark and Future Danny would be the ones to give him the most trouble, but for the most part, I think I could see Goku just standing over the quote-unquote bodies of all of Danny's villains. So your next question... Okay, so thank you for those questions, Burnouter. Next set of questions come from Carlotta Studios. And your first question is, what are your 3 favorite Danny Phantom episodes, and why are they your favorite? Okay, this is a little tough one. What are my 3 favorite Danny Phantom episodes, excuse me. I think one episode I really like is Fanning the Flames, because that introduced Ember, and she's a pretty badass villain. I think another one of my favorite episodes is This is tough. I hate to say it, but it is really tough. I don't know if I can name 3 episodes, because I really like them all. I don't know if I can really name 3 of them. I'm going to try to name 2 episodes that come to me right now. I like the episode Flirting with Disaster. That's another good one. And I really like the... And I can't remember the name of the episode, but I like the episode where the box ghost takes Pandora's box and uses it for to make himself more evil. I really like that one. So there you go. Next question. Your next question is, what do you think of a Danny Phantom Stormhawks crossover? Had to keep that flame alive. Peace. So Danny Phantom Stormhawks crossover. Okay, I think the story would go that Master Cyclonus is trying to open a portal to new worlds to conquer, and she accidentally rips a hole into the ghost zone and lets all the ghosts out while Danny and the others are exploring the ghost zone. And they find the rip in the hole and end up on Atmos. Here's the quick answer right there. I'd think of more, but I'm surprised I thought of that much. Because like I've said, guys, if you guys give me crossover answers to ask, I can't really think of an entire story right off the bat. I really can't. It's got to. If I think of a crossover, it has to fester in my mind for a bit. So yeah. And your third question is, what are your favorite Danny Phantom pairings? Well, always you can't go wrong with Danny and Sam. You know, that's the OG right there. Danny and Ember I like. Danny with Ember. There's also a few good fanfiction I read where Danny was paired with Desiree. Really, I kind of find it interesting when Danny's paired up with someone other than Sam. Not to say, the Danny-Sam pairing's bad. It's just sometimes I'm kind of interested in the other ones. I'm kind of very bipartisan on that pairing. Okay, so thank you for those questions, Carlotta. Next comes Malingar. And he says, sorry, DPZ, all crossovers from me are on this one. What would you like to see in a crossover with TMNT, Kim Possible, and Darth Vader? Okay, for a TMNT one, maybe have that the Krang are trying to experiment on ghosts, like they find out about what ghosts are and start capturing them and see what mutagen does to it. And the Turtles come across Danny, who's been captured. They rescue him, and they team up together to fight Ecto Krang. There you go. There's the villain. Ecto Krang. Kim Possible. Kim Possible's another interesting one, because again, I've seen a lot of those. So him and Kim, maybe Draken is working with Plasmius on some big kind of doomsday device, and Kim and Danny just cross paths by accident. Something like that. And for Darth Vader, I've got nothing. I really cannot think of anything with Danny meeting Darth Vader. I cannot think of anything for the life of me. Sorry, Malingar. So thank you for those questions. Regardless. Next comes Victor Massacre, who says, option or idea of a Danny Phantom Ben 10 Generator Rex crossover. Danny, Ben, and Rex crossover. I really don't know how to think of that one right off the bat. It would have to be more universal jumping, maybe. Yeah, definitely more universe hopping. So that's I can't really think of anything right there. Sorry, Victor Massacre. It would have to be like maybe that thing they encountered in the Ben 10 Generator Rex crossover, that nanite type creature. Maybe it's exposed to ecto energy. That kind of brings them all together. Something like that. So thank you for that question, Victor. Next comes Andre Partridge, who asks, how do you think Danny would react to Billy, Mandy, and Grimm if he accidentally met them all in Ennsville? I think he'd be completely freaked out that, or actually no, he would completely laugh his head off at the sight of Death working for two kids. I think he would just find it completely hilarious that Death is working for these two kids. And I think he would look at Mandy and be like, you know, you sound really familiar. You sounding very familiar to me. I just can't put my finger on who you sound like. So yeah, thank you for that question. Your second one is, which girl from Danny Phantom would you rather fuck, kill, or marry? Sam, Jazz, Maddie, Valerie, Paulina, Ember, Desiree, Spectra, or Kitty? So I guess I'll take out the one, can't really kill a ghost, so so I guess kill Paulina. I guess I do Sam, Jazz, Maddie. Yeah, Maddie, Danny's mom has got it going on. That's all I'm going to say. Danny's mom has got it going on, so second option for her as well. And yeah, I'd say I'd do Spectra in her human form. Not the one she got when, she got merged with Jack's DNA, mind you. Not at all. Definitely bang Ember. And Kitty, fuck her. And maybe marry Jazz. Maybe. That's a big maybe. Which other 5 teenage superheroes would you like to see Danny Phantom team up with? Okay, 5 other teenagers: Randy Cunningham, Jake Long, Shizao, Kim Possible, and I'm trying to think of the last one here. Oh, and Juniper Lee. There you go, Juniper Lee. So thank you for those questions, Andre. Next question comes from the Spawn 117, who asked, "What do you think of a Danny Phantom Ghostbusters crossover, Danny Phantom Darksiders crossover, Danny Phantom Hellsing crossover, Danny Phantom Wolf Among Us crossover, and a Danny Phantom Sleepy Hollow crossover?" Okay, I already answered the Ghostbusters one, but a Danny Phantom Darksiders one would be really interesting to see him encounter the Horsemen of War. I think that just be in total awe and terror of war. For Hellsing, I think, again, he would be just... I don't think he would oh, vampires are real too. Well, ghosts are a thing. I guess I can believe vampires are real. But he would be completely terrified at the mere sight of Alucard. I think that would be the big thing, is that Alucard would just completely terrify him. And for Wolf Among Us, it would be really cool to see him have a little banter with him and Bigby. Him and Bigby would have a lot of banter back and forth. And for Sleepy Hollow, that would be really fun because, again, you're dealing with the 4 Horsemen, and something that would be really cool to see Danny kind of have to face and confront. And it would be fun to see. I think Sam would be very interested in Ichabod because she's always fun in the past and all the dark stuff. And realizing that, oh, your wife's a witch. Oh, that's so cool. Alright, your next question is, who would win in an epic rap battle of history, Danny or Dante, from the original Devil May Cry? Dante can lay down some sweet lines. Yeah, he could definitely drop the mic. Poor Danny would be completely devastated if in a rap battle with him and Dante. Just saying. And your third one is, what would happen if Danny met the 10th Doctor, Hellboy, Godzilla, the Predator, Ash, Evil Dead, and the most fucking terrifying thing ever on the planet, the goddamn pink elephants. Okay, if Danny met the 10th Doctor, I think it would be really fun to see, like, the Doctor just kind of bring him aboard and be like, "Oh, ghosts. Yeah, sure. You're real. Yeah, right." Hellboy, I think it would be fun because I think Hellboy would be like, kid's got potential. I think he would definitely like see tell Danny, hey, when you grow up, there could be a spot on the BPRD for you. Godzilla, poor Danny would be stomped. The Predator would definitely see Danny as maybe interesting prey. Seeing something like nothing like him would make an excellent trophy. And him with Ash, him and Ash would have a lot of fun together. Those two hanging out in the going around blowing up ghostly deadites. That would be a lot of fun. And the pink elephants, no one is ready for the pink elephants. Not even Danny. He's not ready. Okay. Moving on. Alright, next set of questions come from the Omnitron12345, who asks, if Danny hadn't stuck with Danny Phantom as a superhero name, what other possibilities do you think he would have gone with? I don't know, all the other good ghost names are kind of taken, so I think Danny Phantom, because he couldn't call himself the Phantom, really, nor could he call himself the Spectre. Maybe Poltergeist? I don't know, or Geist, that's the German word for ghost. That'd have been cool. I guess let's go with Geist. Second question is, if you could see Danny Phantom as an alternate universe equivalent to Peter Parker, and if so, what would happen if he had ghost spider powers as the Spider-Man in his universe? Okay, basically he's asking, what if he had Spider-Man's abilities instead of his own abilities? It would be cool to see him as like the Spider-Man of his universe. In fact, for a while, I actually did think about doing a fanfiction series and making Danny Phantom the Spider-Man of his universe. And I was kind of wanted to do like a whole pseudo-Marvel universe where different cartoon characters became Marvel superheroes, like Randy Cunningham became Daredevil, that universe's Daredevil, Danny became Spider-Man, Dipper actually became Ant-Man, and Mabel became the Wasp. Stuff like that. I think it'd be really cool, because again, you can't help but look at the parallels between Danny Phantom and Spider-Man. You really can't. So thank you for that question. Your third question is, since Danny appears to be the only superhero in his universe, what other kind of heroes could you see existing there? I don't really know. I don't know like what you could see as other heroes out there. I don't really know if you could see, what other heroes could be out there in this universe. Maybe because I don't know, I really don't know how the physics work. Maybe there's a kid who's a vampire who wants to be good. Maybe other supernatural characters. That's the best way I could look at it. That's just me. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Omnitron12345. Next comes Matt Kaiser08, whose first question is, if Danny Phantom was in a death battle, which 5 opponents would you like to see him fight? Ghost Rider, Randy Cunningham, that's 2. Jake Long, there's 3. Nightwing, and make it interesting, maybe Captain America. There you go. There's my 5 right there. All right. What would the TMT, along with Splinter, Karai, April, and Casey, think of Danny? Well, I already kind of did a TMNT one, but I'm gonna say what would Splinter, April, Casey, and Karai think? For Splinter, I think he would see like a great hero within Danny and want to train him and guide him and use his powers better. I think April would kind of think he's cute, and Casey would be like, "Oh, you're nothing but a white-haired punk," and to which Danny would be like, "Yeah, Sure, at least I don't look like a hockey player. At least, oh, it'd be great. Like Casey would be like, "What's it? What gives you the right to be the hero?" To which Danny would reply with, "I'm not wearing hockey pads." Oh man. And Karai would, I think Karai would be very interested to use have her unite with him and try to get her to join her cause of trying to take down the Shredder or something like that. I think she would be attracted by his power. That's how I see it. And your third question is, Danny Phantom Godzilla crossover. How would you write it? I don't know. Maybe have it that Vlad is working with a new group, like secretly working for G-Force, and he helps build this sonic device that is supposed to repel kaiju, but instead he reverses it to bring them to shore and brings them to Amityville, and he brings some very terrible kaiju, and Godzilla follows in suit. That's the best way I can look at it. Next questions come from Grod Hanks, whose first question is, what are your opinions on the Secret Trio crossovers? Danny Phantom, Jake Long, and Randy Cunningham. I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool that, these are kind of like, this is like anime, like cartoons, unofficial worlds, trinity. Like you have for Marvel, you've got Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor, and you have at DC, obviously, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman is that trinity. I like to think that, Randy Cunningham, Jake, Randy, Danny, and Jake are like cartoons trinity. They're like the cartoon equivalent to the Trinity. And it's really, I think it'd be really cool to see all of them kind of hang out together and just screw around and be friends. I think that would be a lot of fun. Like, have them all have these great catch, like, I'm going ghost, drag it up. And Randy says, I don't have a catchphrase. Not, well, actually, ninja o'clock is his kind of his catchphrase. So it'd be like, it's ninja o'clock, and Danny and Jake would be like, really, dude? That's your catchphrase? Oh my god, that sucks so bad. Oh, and Randy would be like, oh, really? Because dragging up and going ghost are so awesome. Well, it is cool. It's cool. It is cool. You only have to say 2 words. Well, you only have to say, like, only short words. You have to say a whole sentence before putting on the mask. Why can't you just say ninja up? Oh, wait, I already got that. Shut up, Jake. Oh, man. Second question is, do you read any Danny Phantom fanfics? I read time to time. I occasionally read a lot of... I kind of occasionally read time to time. I think they're really cool. I read one where Danny had an interview with Lucifer. I read one of those. That was interesting, to say the least. And your final question is, did you know that David Carradine did a voice? He was Clockwork. Yes, I did. I did know that. I think I know how he got to the ghost zone too. I think what happened was David Carradine stole a little girl from someone, and he went under the identity of Bill, and then they used they made his heart explode, that person, after a quick and brutal fight. Oh wait, I'm thinking of Kill Bill. Never mind. So thank you for those questions, Grod Hanks. Next set of questions come from Wolfman the Impaler, whose first question is, if they were to reboot the series, would you want to see Danny fight more than just ghosts, like maybe entities like Baba Yaga, Slender Man, Dracula, etc.? Yeah, I think that would be really cool. I think that would be incredibly awesome to have it, like, again, more of a supernatural feel, and have him have other rogues outside of ghosts, and ghosts and ghost hunters. I think it would be interesting to see him encounter, werewolves, Dracula, Baba Yaga, Slender Man, the Jersey Devil, all those cryptozoology kind of creatures. Those would be really cool. So thank you for that question. Next one is Danny meets Hellboy. What happens? Well, I already went over this question. Sorry, Wolfman. Your next one is, if you were to put Danny in a team of young superheroes using characters from other cartoons, who would be on the team with him, and what role would Danny have in the team? Well, the team would be, obviously, Danny, Ben, Shizao, Randy, Jake Long, Word Girl, if anyone knows Word Girl, Kim Possible, Juniper Lee, maybe, XJ9, yeah, gotta have Jenny in there, And who else would be on this team? Who would else be on this team? Well, they have a few right there, and I think Danny would be the defunct 2 leader. Actually, no, Ben would probably be the leader, and Danny would be kind of like the stealth member of the group alongside Randy. I think, yeah, he would be, actually, Danny would be more of the supernatural go-to guy and the real heavy hitter of the group. I think that would be his role, but definitely Ben would be the leader of the team. Yeah, Ben would definitely be the leader of the team. Maybe Danny could be... I could see Danny's maybe second in command, though. So thank you for those questions, Wolfman. Next comes T-Mori 603. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. What do you think the deal between the Fright Night and Vlad was? They never explained what it was. I don't know. That's a good thing. That's a good question. I don't know what that whole deal was. They just kind of like left it off there. I think Butch Hart. That's something. Going back to someone else's question earlier about the whole what I'd like to see in another season. Yeah, I would like to see that finally come to fruition between Vlad and Fright Night. Definitely bring that back. Absolutely have that back as well. What do you think? Your second question is, what do you think Valerie's treatment of Danny is now that everybody knows he is Danny Phantom? I think she would be shell-shocked, and, well, she was kind of growing on Danny Phantom for a while, so I think it would be like, well, you're the ghost boy now, and I used to have feelings for you, so, we're cool, but you ever try to, you get in my way, I will put you down. I think it would be like a mutual understanding. I think it would be cool to have her kind of be like his defunct 2 sidekick. I think it would be cool. That'd be cool to have her as like she's Danny's sidekick. Well, not sidekick, partner. There's the better term, partner. And your third question is, how do you think Danny's parents would react to Danny's clone sister? Oh, well, I think they'd be completely shocked, but I think they would accept her with loving arms. I think they would. They would be that caring, because she is a living person, would be very understanding. That's how I see it. So thank you for those questions, T. Mori. Next comes Darth Venom, who asks, how would Danny and his friends react if they met Superman, Batman, Daredevil, Deadpool, the Teen Titans, Spawn, Walker, Texas Ranger, John McClane, Luke Skywalker, Nick Fury, and the Punisher? Okay, speeding through this. Superman, they would be just, again, Superman and Batman. Both of them, they would be complete awe of being in these just legends right here. I think that would be the best thing, is that both of them would be just being like Danny and his friends just meeting Superman and Batman. They'd just be in complete awe of them. Daredevil, that'd be really cool too, because Daredevil's done encountered some supernatural beings as well. So I think it would be interesting to see Danny kind of hang out with Matt as well. Deadpool, oh man, they would just cause some havoc. The Teen Titans, the Titans would definitely want Danny on their team. Spawn, Danny would just look at Al Simmons, either Al or Jim Downey, and be like, dude, you're a dick. You are a straight up dick. Walker, Texas Ranger, oh, there wouldn't be a meeting. Chuck Norris would just roundhouse kick Danny into another dimension. There you go. John McClane. John would be like, John would just be, he would be like, okay, so you're a ghost. Whatever. Luke Skywalker, that would be interesting to see, like, Danny try to play around with Luke's lightsaber and learn about the Force. Nick Fury and the Punisher. I think Danny would not want anything to do with someone who kills people, because then they come back as ghosts. He has to deal with it for first off. But secondly, I think it'd be like, I don't want to deal with anyone who kills people. And I think he wouldn't be too trusting of Nick Fury either. Your second question is, what is your favorite Danny Phantom fanfiction? There's a few, really. There was this really good fic between Danny and Desiree, as a romantic fic, and I thought that was really well done, of putting those two together as a couple and making it work. I think in terms of other in terms of other fan fiction, I don't know. I think I don't really have a favorite per se. That's the thing. I don't really have a favorite per se. And your final question is, Danny Phantom, My Life as a Teenage Robot crossover. What happens? I would definitely have Technus as the villain. Technus would definitely be the villain, and maybe he comes to Tremerton and tries to assimilate the other robot girl. He tries to assimilate the other of Jenny's sisters and to make a new body for himself. And Jenny and Danny team up to stop Technus in his new robot body. That's what I got right off the bat. That's all I got. So thank you for those questions, Darth Venom. Next comes Overnerd03, who asks, do you think Danny Phantom could return in the future? If so, how would you continue it? Well, I've already talked about how I would continue it, but I would like to say that it's possible, because we are seeing a few cartoons come back. We're seeing Powerpuff Girls come back, and apparently Courage the Cowardly Dog is also returning. So I'd like to say maybe it's a possibility that it would come back. A good, small possibility, but I think there's a chance of it coming back. That's all. That's all I'm going to say, is that maybe there's a possibility of it coming back. Because I already talked about how would I continue it in the next following seasons, so yeah. Second question is, if he was in the Marvel or DC universe, would Danny work as a Young Avenger, Teen Titan, or a member of Young Justice? I could see him on any of the teams, really. I could see him joining those teams very quickly, like him joining those groups very fast. I think he would get along great. If he was in the Young Avengers, I think he would get along great with Speed, and I think him and Kate would also hit it off as well. I think he would also be close friends with with Teddy and Hulkling, with Wiccan and Hulkling. I think those two would just it would be fun to see those two hang out. And if he was on the Teen Titans, him and Beast Boy would just be having a ball all day. And Young Justice would be interesting too, of seeing him hang out with the likes of Kid Flash and all of them. I think that would be a lot of fun to see him, especially him and Wally. If we're going by animated wise, so the Young Justice comic book team has a lot more team members to it, but I'm going to keep it a little closer to the animated. Him and Wally would just be cracking jokes all the time, and just him and Jaime as well. I could definitely see him and Jaime, even him and Tim hanging out a lot. Alright, third question is, do you think if the show had continues, would Danny and Sam last as long as a couple? I think it'd be really good that, and I think it's a real possibility that if the show continued, they would continue to be a couple, because I think Sam would know right off the bat, yeah, the world needs Danny Phantom more than I need him, and I've been with him in a lot of dangerous situations, and I still cared about him, and he's always going to come home to me, so I've got nothing to worry about. So yeah, I think it would be really cool to see those two hang out, live, kind of bond around that relationship, because it was already weird to begin with Danny getting ghost powers. So, but I think Sam would understand. Like I said, yeah, the world needs him more, so I'm going to let him go off and do his own thing. That's at least how I see it, is that Sam would be very accepting of Danny's superhero life and just wait for him to come home and not be like the worried superhero spouse. Kind of like a Spider-Man and Mary Jane kind of relationship. That's how I see it. I think I've said that sentence a lot in this. Now that I think about it, I think I've said now that I see that, and that's how I see it a lot in this video, and I'm sorry. NB Free. But thank you for those questions, Overnerd. Next questions come from NB Free, who asks, first question is, how would you do a Danny... Well, I've already answered that one. Okay, he's got 4 questions. He said I could pick anyone, so I'm going to skip the first one. And how cool would a Danny Phantom Fairly Odd Parents crossover be? Well, here's the thing. If it was like early Fairly Odd Parents, then I'd be all for it. Because Butch Hartman said that Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom are in the same universe, apparently. And there's also a quick cameo by Dash in one of the Fairly Odd Parents episodes. So I think it would be cool because he did say that Danny and Timmy Turner live in the same universe. Makes me wonder if like all of his creations live in the same. Well, actually, no, I don't think Tough Puppy exists in that universe, but I could definitely believe that Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom exist in the same universe. I think that's a very big possibility that they could exist in the same universe. But I think that a crossover between the two would be a lot of fun. Ghosts and fairies. Like, Sam would be like, really? Fairies? And Tucker would reply with, dude, we've run into ghosts so many times, and you find fairies hard to believe? Oh, I don't find them hard to believe. I just can't believe they... Out of all the other mystical beings that could exist, these are the ones that have to be real. So, again, it would be a lot of fun, and maybe have... And again, it would be... I think it would just be, if I could have any say in it, this would be in an era before, before Poof came along, or before that dog came along. Because now the show's just limping along at this point. Just keep it simple. Timmy, Cosmo, Wanda, meeting Danny. There you go. Second question is, how would Danny Phantom fight the Pumpkinator from the Halloween special of Fairly Odd Parents? I think he would be completely just flabbergasted to fight a giant robot pumpkin warrior. But I think he would find maybe magical elements, because again, it was wished here. I think it would work if you could use the thermos on it, maybe. Keyword maybe. And your final question is, what would Danny think of the superheroes from the Fairly Odd Parents, like Crash Nebula and Crimson Chin? He would just completely laugh his ass off at the likes. I think if he was hanging out with, maybe they could go into the comic book, and Danny goes in the Crimson Chin with Timmy, who becomes Cleft, and Danny cannot stop laughing, like, oh my god, really? Really, the Crimson Chin? He's the greatest superhero ever? Oh, and Catman. He would just look at Catman and go, dude, I think he has problems. And Crash Nebula, I think he would kind of like Crash Nebula. Then again, the voice actor for Danny did do the voice of Crash Nebula, so he'd be like, I kind of like him. But he would definitely, I could see Danny laughing his ass off at Catman and Crimson Chin. So yeah, thank you for those questions, NB Free. Next set of questions come from Jerkwater100. Who, in your own opinion, who is the bigger prick, Dash, Lars, or Robbie from Gravity Falls? So I'm going to say Robbie is still the biggest douchebag out of the three, because Lars has a bit of a soul to him, and he doesn't completely want to hurt or even kill Steven like Robbie wants to do to Dipper and Mabel. Dash is also a little bit nicer because he's kind of he was based off of Dash was based off of Flash Thompson, who, as we all know, became a better character. And in a way, Dash did become a better character because he did respect Danny Phantom, so he kind of had in a way, he had some respect for Danny Fenton. And when in the special Reality Trip, I think it was called, the one where we had the knockoff Infinity Gauntlet kind of story with Freak Show, Dash said, hey, look, you were Danny Phantom the whole time. We got your back. You're a superhero, dude. We're going to have your back. And I'm like, there you go. So Robbie is still the biggest dickbag out of all of them, because Lars and Dash have some redeemable qualities. Next question is, which ghost mythologies would you like to see in the show? Poltergeist. A poltergeist would have been interesting. Would have also liked to see maybe some ghost stuff in New Orleans, maybe some ghost kind of things from the African mythology. Because if you heard of how the supernatural world works in African mythology, it's kind of creepy. Also, the Egyptian mythology of the afterlife would have been interesting. I know we got a piece of it with King Tut, but I'd really like to explore further into that. And your third question is, which voice actor would you like to see in the show? Well, if the show is still around, I think it would be cool to have Robert Englund voice the Boogeyman. Yeah, Robert Englund is playing the Boogeyman or something. Let's face it, he should have played a character. I think it would be cool to have Tim Curry as a villain. I think it would have been really cool to have Sarah Michelle Gellar show up as like a ghost hunter, or kind of like a parody of Buffy the Vampire Hunter, maybe. Also, it would have been cool to have Michael Rooker. Yeah, Michael. You gotta have some Michael Rooker in there, and Danny Trejo. Who else would have had a guest star on this series? Mae Whitman and Dante Basco from Avatar. I would also say Janet Varney, voice actress for Korra. Not as Korra, mind you, not as Korra, but maybe as another character. Yeah, definitely as another character, like maybe a element controlling ghost. I don't know. So yeah, there's a few right there, but that's just me. So any of those questions, Jerkwater100. Next comes Travis Rendon, who asks, would you like to see the ghost dog from the one episode to become a permanent ally of Danny? Yeah, I would. I would absolutely love to see, the ghost dog become like his attack dog, kind of like Ace in Batman Beyond. That's how I would do it. If you could create an ally for Danny, what would they be? Okay, if I could create an ally for Danny, here's how I think what I would do is what I'd like to have is maybe a deceased member of the Fenton family. Like maybe it's Danny's grandfather who was a World War II veteran, and he's now a soldier, and he's now this GI commando ghost who helps Danny out fight evil ghosts in the Ghost Zone with his own kind of pseudo version of the Howling Commandos. And it would be cool because it's his grandfather. So Danny would get to hang out with his grandfather and just fight ghosts alongside him. Yeah, there you go. Win-win situation. Family time and ass-kicking time. So there you go. Definitely a family member. And your final question is, since we see the future evil version of Danny Phantom, how would you like to see a two-parter where future evil Danny Phantom, Danny with an I, come out and try to release evil Danny? Well, I think the problem is with that is that I think what would happen, the evil Danny Phantom was in a different timeline. Yeah, he existed in a different timeline before the whole clone ghost thing happened. So I don't think an evil version of the Danny Phantom wouldn't exist. I don't think she would exist at all because the evil version of Danny Phantom happened in an alternate timeline. So she wouldn't have existed. At least I think in my knowledge, if I've got my episode numbers right, if I've got my episodes right. Yeah, I think I would be right. Anyway, so thank you for those questions, Travis Rendon. Moving on to Stardust Phantom, who asks, how would you write a Danny Phantom story that deals with the concepts of the true afterlife? Well, I think I would make it maybe the Ghost Zone is really purgatory. Yeah, that's how I would play around with it. Is maybe the Ghost Zone is really purgatory, and it's kind of set it kind of drifts in and out of heaven and hell. Because here's the thing, purgatory is kind of in some depictions it's middle ground between heaven and hell. In other cases, purgatory is the first circle of hell. So maybe I would have it maybe it's it's the inner void between heaven and hell. It's the little in between point. It's not really necessarily the waiting room. It's more you're not good enough to go to heaven, but you're not bad enough to go to hell. Maybe play around with something like that. Yeah, that's how I would handle it. So thank you for that question, Stardust Phantom. Next is Black Squirt Boys, who asks, do you think Danny and Sam was a good couple? Yeah. I like to think that, again, Butch Hartman, again, basing a lot of stuff off of Spider-Man, was I'm going to make it like Spider-Man and Gothic Mary Jane. I think that was now that I think about it, I think Sam was a inspiration for Ultimate Mary Jane. In a cosmic sort of way, I could be right. So, yeah, it was. You can absolutely see the parallels between Danny and Sam's relationship, and parallel that with Peter and Mary Jane's. So, yeah, that's my answer to that. Your second question is, what if Danny Phantom teamed up with the cartoon Teen Titans? A lot of fun. Well, I kind of answered this question already, unfortunately, so, yeah, I've already answered this question. It would be a lot of fun. And your third question is, what is your favorite villain from the show? Again, I kind of answered this already, so sorry, Black Squirt Boys. But I thank you for the questions regardless, and I'm glad I could answer one. Next question comes from Alex Anayas. Hope I'm saying that last name right. What would you think of a Danny Phantom Alien Predator crossover? This one I'm going to answer because this one has the xenomorphs, the aliens, in it. So, AVP crossover. How I would do it is like maybe there was there's a construction site going on and they dig out an old Predator ship that crash landed on Earth millions of years ago, and they accidentally release xenomorphs in their egg form. They get out, they face hug a few people, and a distress beacon is sent out back to the Predator homeworld. The Predator's like, well, we gotta go fix this mess, and a team of about maybe 3-4 Predators go out to hunt down and stop this and, keep this infestation from going out of control. And in the middle of it all, Danny and a few other ghost allies are trying to stop the xenomorph infestation, while at the same time, some of the ghosts are like, hey, this Danny Phantom, let's make him a trophy. That's my idea, just right off the bat. Next question is Thaddeus. Thank you for those questions, Alex. Next comes Thaddeus Manning. Thaddeus asks, first question is, have you seen the Danny Phantom Complete? Have you bought the Danny Phantom Complete Series DVD yet? I want to. I actually came close to buying it, but what I ended up buying was the Gamera Legacy set. I know it was either Gamera or Danny Phantom. I was torn. I was literally torn between those two, but I ended up with the Gamera Legacy Collection, which collects the Showa and Heisei eras of Gamera. It does not collect Gamera the Brave. But yeah, I was very close to getting it's on my to-do list. I really do want to get the Complete Series DVD, because I know it collects all the movies and has a lot of special features and whatnot. So yeah, once I get enough money, I will be hunting down that complete Danny Phantom Complete Series DVD box set. Also, the other thing that kind of led to my decision of buying the Gamera thing was that it was cheaper. That was another big factor. Anyway, so thank you for that question. Your second question is, if a live-action Danny Phantom movie was made, what actors would you get to star in it? I don't know who I could get to play Dan. Actually, I think I would get Grant Gustin. Grant Gustin, the guy who's playing Barry Allen in The Flash right now. I think he would be good. Well, him or the actor playing role. Actually, yeah, I'd stick with Grant Gustin, the actor who's playing Barry Allen in The Flash right now. I don't know who else I would get, though. I don't know who I would get to play everyone else. Yeah, I really don't know who I would get to play the other characters. I really don't know who else I would get to play the other characters. Man, that's really tough, because again, I'm not really good with casting. I am in no way, shape, or form good with all this casting stuff. So, yeah, sorry. And I already answered this question right here. Out of all the Danny Phantom powers, which would I like? It was the Ectoblasts. Yeah, it was the Ectoblasts. Alright. Jansen Mitchell Jr. Again, I apologize if I completely butchered this name, but Jansen, again, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, asks, how would you pitch a Danny Phantom reboot or sequel? Okay, I'm going to answer this one because this is more of a pitch. I think I would pitch it as a sequel series, as maybe that Danny's been doing this for a few years. Yeah, Danny's been doing this for a couple of years, and he's a little more experienced. He's got a few allies on his side, and he's now kind of not dealing with just ghosts, but also other supernatural threats. But that's what it would be in a nutshell. What's your favorite episode? I kind of answered this already with Carlotta Studios, so yeah. Do you feel the first season was meh, the second season was great, and third season tanked? I kind of like all the seasons on a whole. I think they were all pretty good, but I will agree that the second season, I think, had the best episodes. First season was I think what they were trying to do with the first season was that they were trying to find their grounding. They were trying to find their grounding and kind of find their footing, because again, they hadn't really done a superhero TV show in a while on Nickelodeon. So they were trying to find a little more of their footing, and I think he was off to a rocky start. But the second season really kind of showed, yeah, this is what we're doing, and now we know we got our shit together. So, thank you for those questions. Next set of questions come from 25 Kid, who asks, what would Danny Phantom think of the Ghostbusters? And I've already answered this question of Danny Phantom Ghostbusters crossover. And your second question is, who would win in a fight between Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider and Danny Phantom? I honestly think Johnny Blaze, because he has the more experience and most of his abilities can actually wound the supernatural, like the Hellfire shotgun and the chains. Danny has had some battle experience, but Johnny's the spirit of vengeance is a completely different demon. I mean, I'm pretty sure Danny would get some good shots in, but at the end, Johnny has the better experience. He's got the better weaponry. And he can take a lot more punishment. Remember, the Ghost Rider can go head-to-head with the Hulk and still kind of walk away unscratched. But I can definitely see Danny putting up a really good fight. But in the end, it would be Ghost Rider walking away from this fight. But mind you, I don't think he would kill Danny. And your final question is, do you wish a Danny Phantom My Life as a Teenage Robot crossover Okay, let me try to repeat this. Do you wish Danny Phantom and My Life as a Teenage Robot had a crossover? Okay, this one I'm going to answer because this is just someone asking if I wanted to see a crossover. To which the answer is yes. We got a frickin' Fairly Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron crossover. Why couldn't we have gotten more crossover episodes with other stuff? I mean, hell, I know Avatar was kind of out of the question of doing any kind of crossovers at all, but I know for some reason I've heard like a rumor. Actually, let me bring this up. I heard this weird-ass rumor, and could someone confirm it for me or not? I heard this weird-ass rumor that next year we were going to get a Power Rangers Dino Charge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover, which is kind of hard, which I kind of call BS to begin with, because Dino Charge is live action, Turtles is not. And if you guys remember the In Space Turtles crossover, Power Rangers in Space Ninja Turtles crossover, that kind of sucked. So, I don't know, maybe Nickelodeon will find a way to make it work, but again, I'm not really putting a lot of stock into that rumor. But anyway, I would have really liked a Jenny and Danny crossover. Alright, next comes Action Fan 19, and he asks, do you think telekinesis would have been a good ghost power for Danny? I ask that because random moving objects, what a poltergeist is supposed to do. I could see where you're coming from. I could maybe see, telekinesis as a possible ability, but I think it was more like, I think they kind of explained that as more like, oh, Danny can go invisible and move objects with just his hands. I think that was more along the line of what it was going, but I could see telekinesis in that repertoire of powers. He got one once every 5 episodes, so why not? Next question comes from... Oh, wait, sorry. This is your second question, Action Fan. Your next one is, would Danny Phantom fit into the monster version of the Howling Commandos? Oh, yeah. He would definitely fit in the monster version of the Howling Commandos. I can definitely see that. Your third question is, since Danny Phantom is based on Spider-Man, do you think Dash would have gotten to the same point and gained ghost powers much of his own, like how Flash became Venom? I could possibly see that. Again, Flash Thompson is obviously... Dash Baxter is obviously Danny's Flash Thompson, so I could see down the line maybe him becoming something like a Venom-type character, or gaining something equivalent to ghost powers. Something along those lines, more or less. Alright. Next set of questions. Thank you, ActionFan19. And moving on to Jesse MB27, who asks. Hang on, I gotta look at the questions right here. If Danny Phantom was remade as an anime, which Japanese-based animation studio would you want to see create Danny Phantom? I think Toei or Gainax would be probably the best. I think, Gainax or Toei. Those would be my two picks as Danny Phantom anime. Or what's the company that does Psycho Pass? I can't remember. I think it is Gainax or I think it is Gainax. Now that I think, I could be wrong. But yeah, Toei and Gainax would be my two picks. And next question is, if Shinobi Sensui were somehow able to find himself in the Danny Phantom universe, who do you think would be the 6 or 7 characters he would recruit to join him in achieving his goal of destroying humanity of its collective sins? I think the other characters he would have join him is Skulker, Ember, Vlad, Technus, Walker, and possibly Desiree. Yeah, Desiree. Those would be probably in his his own little ghost group of villains. And your final question is, if Danny somehow found himself in our world in a French Mistake style episode, how would he react seeing certain works and creators of fan art, and particularly Danny X? I think he would be completely freaked out of the world in general. Of like, if he saw the real world and you saw that he was a cartoon character, he would be completely just, that's my mom. Stop drawing weird fan art of her. Stuff. I think he'd be completely freaked out. He'd be like, man, gotta rethink my values here. So thank you for those questions, Jesse. Next questions come from Electric1999, who asks, if Danny Phantom were to compete in a death battle, who do you think would be the most appropriate opponent? Well, sorry, Electric, I kind of already answered this question already with 4 other characters, but like I said, first and foremost, probably be someone like another young superhero something along those lines. But thank you anyway for that question. Next set of questions come from Christian Sager, who asks, what other popular ghosts and spirits would you like to see Danny meet? Casper, Yu Yu Hakusho, etc. And how would they interact? It'd be funny to see him and Casper hang out because Casper's so lovable, and I think Danny would just find him so adorable. Him hanging out with like Yusuke and all of them, I think he would be kind of like, man, you guys brutally kill people. I don't know if I want to hang out with you guys. And I think Kuwabara and Dash would be hilarious. Of seeing those two kind of argue back and forth. Kuwabara and Dash would just be hilarious. And so there's a few right there. Second question: do you think what would Danny think of ghost type Pokemon? I think he would find him really cool. If he was a Pokemon master, he would definitely have ghost type Pokemon working for him. If he was a gym leader or had a theme, that would be his theme, ghost types. And I already answered this question of the fuck, marry, kill question. So, sorry about that. But yeah, thank you regardless for those other 2 questions, Christian. And moving on to Serpent Talata, who asks, what will be your cast for a live-action movie? Again, I already answered this question. The only one I had was Grant Gustin for Danny. Everyone else, I don't know. Maybe, actually, now that I think about it, maybe Donald Glover as Tucker. Yeah, there you go. There's my other cast pick. Donald Glover as Tucker. So, I guess there's the only 2 I can think of. Okay. What hero from movie, TV, or comics would you like to have would you like to have adventures with Danny? Spider-Man. The answer is always Spider-Man. And your third question is, in what universe do you see Danny integrate better, Marvel or DC? Well, this one I'm going to answer because this is more like, what if they stayed in that universe rather than join a team? I think I see him better integrating in the Ultimate Marvel universe. I think you can integrate there, and it would be cool to see it finally kind of acknowledge more of the supernatural elements. They did that with a few things with Ghost Rider and Blade, but they never really went in depth with the supernatural in there. So I think having Danny in the Ultimate Marvel Universe would be a lot of fun. Next set of questions come from Matt Bennett, who asks. First question is fuck, marry, kill. I've already answered this question. But Danny versus Gozer, who would win? Danny versus Gozer, interesting question. I'm gonna say Gozer, because Danny sometimes gets in over his head and gets a little overconfident. So Gozer would probably, Gozer the Gozerian would probably kill him. Your third question is, what is your favorite villain? Your favorite villain moment in the show? Okay, not villain, but favorite villain moment. I think for me it was how Danny, Vlad meticulously just took apart Danny's life by using the ghost getters and all that, and how he kind of took apart Danny's life to the point of no one needed Danny Phantom anymore. That was kind of very cold-hearted, almost Norman Osborn-ish in a way, you could say. So definitely the Vlad in the final episode, how he kind of took apart his life and made himself the hero. Next set of questions. So thank you for those questions, Matt Bennett. Next comes Trevor Smolka, who asks, first question is, if Danny Phantom ever did a crossover with Spider-Man, in the future, what heroes and villains would like to team up with ally with Spider-Man? Okay, so he's basically asking what I'd like to see in a Spider-Man Danny Phantom crossover. A lot of things. Spider-Man fighting Skulker and Danny fighting Kraven. Norman and Vlad meeting. A Sinister Six team made of 3 Danny Phantom villains and 3 Spider-Man villains. Yeah, Technis, Ember, and the Box Ghost are among Skulker, Ember, and Technis for 3 villains, and then Rhino, Electro, and Dr. Octopus for the other 3, and make them a pseudo a version of the Sinister Six. Stuff like that. I think it would be really. Those would be definitely in my crossover of the Spider-Man Danny Phantom team up. And your second question is, out of all the villains, which one was your all-time favorite? I already answered this question, Ember McLean, and I kind of had a love for all the villains in one way or another. And your third question is, if Danny Phantom was to ever be brought back for one more season, how would you end the show? Yeah, I've already, he's asking how would I end the show if it got one more season. Okay, this I'll answer because it's more like asking how I would end the show if it after it got one more season. I think I would end it with something like like you said in the question box, Sam and Danny getting married, and Tucker finally settling down with a girl, and maybe Danny in charge, kind of passing the torch to Danny Phantom, and then later on we get Danny Phantom Jr. So thank you for those questions, Trevor. Next question comes from the Hellish Smile. If Box Ghost ruled the world, what would his utopia of all Box life be like? It would be an utopia of cubed awesomeness. Again, I used to be able to do a really good Box Ghost, but my throat's really sore, and it's really late, and I ain't the voice actor the not so voice actor I used to be. But Box Ghost's utopian cube land would be something along the lines of something like the Ed Netty Box City. It would look like that. Like New York would look like something Ed Netty built out of cardboard. That cardboard city they made. Something like that. So think of that question, Hellish Smile. And then the last questions come from Dylan Malone 14, who asks, how will Danny Phantom fare off against the forces of heaven and hell? What if he was like, the forces of heaven and hell would probably rip him apart, because again, Danny gets a little over-arrogant, but I think he learned more and more to control his powers, and I think he could hold his own, but if inevitably, I think he would be a little too much for him. And your second question is, what superhero team would you like to see Danny join in, and why? This one I'm going to ask because it's not so delegated to just young superhero teams, but yeah, it would be something like a young superhero team like Young Justice, Teen Titans, or Young Avengers. But I could also see like maybe he'd be an Avenger too, or a training member of the Justice League, or hell, I could even see him for Heroes for Hire or the Mighty Avengers, something like actually more of a streetwise team now that I think about it. Definitely more of a streetwise team more than anything else. And final question. Danny Phantom and the Black Lanterns from DC, what happens? We are all fucked. I don't know, actually I don't know if a ring would actually affect, a black ring would affect Danny, because I don't know if he really counts as dead. I mean, he's half ghost, but he's still alive. That's the thing. He is still a living person. So I don't know if it would affect, like, we would see like a Black Lantern Danny or not. That's a good question. But all in all, Danny would be in the fight of his life to fight hordes and hordes of... Well, actually, I think the Black Lantern rings would affect the ghosts, like Skulker and Ember. And if that were possible, then Danny is really fucked. So that is all the questions, guys. Once again, thank you all for all the questions. And once again, if you guys had a question that I did not answer, it's probably because YouTube was being a total dick and marked it as spam or didn't have it show up on the list at all. So I apologize for that. And yeah, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm out.